What's up, YouTube? And welcome back to the Great League. We finally have Open Great League back on, along with the Open Ultra League and the Open Master League. But we're definitely going to be taking a look at the Open Great League just because it's the most accessible league for most people. And I've got some pretty cool battles to showcase for you guys today. This is actually showcasing a Pokemon that I've already showcased once on this channel, and that is Kangaskhan. Kangaskhan is a really cool Pokemon. Just because it is a mud slapper, but it's also a mono normal type, which gives it a really cool niche in the Open Great League. I will say one disclaimer is that these battles were actually done the last time the Open Great League rotation was on. So you're not going to see like any Corviknight in these battles. So if you are looking for just pure Corviknight content, you're not going to see that in this video. However, you are going to see Talonflame in this video, which is going to be one of Corviknight's hardest answers in the meta, and it also might be a reason why you would want to run Flame Charge over Fly Brave Bird moveset. So yeah, let's at least look at today's battles where we've got a nearly perfect core of Talonflame and Ferrothorn here. As you can see right down the list, these two Pokemon beat basically everything as a core together. The few Pokemon that do break it, Clodsire, Corsola, I think those are the only two on this list that do. Yeah, both are beaten by Kangaskhan because it's a Mud Slapper, it's a normal type, and it has Crunch. So yeah, let's just hop right into the battles. Okay, so we've got Talonflame on the lead with Incinerate Brave Bird. I would normally say double flying moveset is better, but with the Corviknight meta coming up, I think that this is the actual better moveset to go for. That being said, we're running into a Diggersby in the first match, and they are staying in, which makes me think that they actually have Hyper Beam. But if they do, they just baited me with a Scorching Sands, and they lowered my attack, which is pretty unfortunate. I am going to go for the Flame Charge here to boost my attack back up, and they throw right away, which means this cannot be a Hyper Beam. This was also before Shadow Diggersby was released, so there's no return Diggersbys in these matchups. And then they've got a Toxapex in the back, so I have two better answers in the back, so no point in throwing that energy. I'm just going to come in with Kangaskhan right away. These Mudslaps are chipping, and now I get to a Crunch as well, and get the defense drop, so that's huge. And then they have Marowak in the back. So we're going to throw Crunch on the CMP tie with their Bone Club. We actually grab the shield, which is pretty massive, because now we can just let this go. That it probably is fully charged. Kangaskhan's got some decent bulk to it. We are able to make it to yet another fly, which is pretty huge. And they shield that up. We're not going to get to another. So we're going to come in with the Ferrothorn. May as well shield this up. Everything on the Toxapex is resisted, whereas Bone Club is neutral here. I do wait the turn, make sure I see that Mud Slap go through before I throw my move. And I believe my opponent has just resigned the match. Let's see. Yeah, they get KO'd, and their last Pokemon's not coming in right away. So that means that my opponent has quit. They have force closed the app, and that means this is a win. So yeah, the strength of Kangaskhan is a safe swap coming through clutch in that matchup, and hopefully we can see that again in the next. So into the next matchup, we have Morpeko. So this is obviously not a great lead because they have super effective coverage, and we have two Pokemon that do decent into Morpeko in the back. So I come in with my Kangaskhan, get some good Mud Slap chip, honestly, and then I get a Crunch off on this Quagsire. They throw in good timing here. I don't think that this was enough for a Stone Edge, or was it? No, just an Aqua Tail. Does some okay chip, but doesn't quite KO. And now I am going to shield, so that's pretty interesting. I'm looking to try and flip switch here. And at this point, I'm going straight Power Up Punch, which I think is the right play because they are going to make it to another Aqua Tail if I do not get those two boosted Mud Slaps through. So that is huge. And then they come in with a Jump Off, so that was really good use of the Power Up Punch coverage there. And looks like they're going to go for a full Fairy Wind down, but that actually lets me get to two Crunches. Kangaskhan's bulk coming in clutch. Obviously, Fairy Wind not a super strong hard hitting move. And now I can align my Talonflame onto their Jumpluff and my Ferrothorn on their Morpeko. So even if they do throw the Aura Wheel there, it would be resisted. But they do just throw Psychic Fangs. I will shield up the second because this is a Dark Aura Wheel, which is neutral here. And they do throw it there. So getting that shield call right, which is huge. Get off this Power Whip. We do grab the last shield. This is resisted, so even though it's boosted and my defense is lowered, it probably will not KO. And they actually just go straight Psychic Fangs, which is not the right play. But then they make a really nice catch onto the Jumpluff, double resisted Power Whip, so huge catch by my opponent. But did they store a move is the question, because if they didn't store a move, then I'm just going to come out with a move loaded here. And this is one of the benefits of having Flame Charge, is that you can actually hit neutrally against electric type Pokemon. So we get the full farm down, come out with a Flame Charge loaded. Looks like they did not store a move. It says unfortunate for my opponent, even with that really nice catch, we are still able to take that win. Sandslash on the lead. So this is obviously a great lead, super effective, incinerates, double super effective incinerates, and then they come in with a Poliwrath, which is not a great answer for Talonflame. And I actually am double weak to Poliwrath in the back, so I'm actually just going to stay in this matchup. And they're probably just going to bait with the Icy Wind. No, they actually full skin the Scald there, probably understanding that if they Icy Wind and I no shield, then they cannot farm me down. But now we're going to make it to probably 2 more flies before they even get to a Scald. But they actually do get to another move here. It is just the Icy Wind. And at this point, I wait the turn, and for some reason, either my opponent also waited the turn, or the game just bugged there. For some reason on iPhone, the game does not visually update if you are not tapping your screen, so it makes it basically impossible to wait a turn to avoid the catch, but that's exactly what happens there. And it looks like fortunately we do have Kangaskhan on the back for the Sandslash, and we're actually going to win the zeros here against that Sandslash, which is pretty nice. They come in with the Poliwrath. We are going to be able to outpace to the fly, so we will be able to KO. And then what is that Pokemon in the back is the question. And it is a Mandibuzz, and I come in right away with my Ferrothorn, which might not have been the right play. That being said, this is not a great matchup for the Mandibuzz either, but they are on Air Slash. This is actually an instance where it's worse for them that they're on Air Slash, because I mean their energy generation is slower, and it looks like 2 Thunders will just about KO. They full send the Dark Pulse there, and we get off this Thunder, get into the Talonflame, 1 Incinerate, burns down the Mandibuzz, and we're able to take that win. Lurantis, so a little bit of spice for my opponent on the lead in the next match, and then they come in with Typhlosion. I tried to catch a Thunder Punch onto my Kangaskhan, but I was unsuccessful. And now at this point, I believe this is just another Thunder Punch, so I think I am safe from this. But I did want to maintain alignment. But they do grab a shield in that mid game, and they actually come back in with the Lurantis. Unfortunately for me, Mud Slaps are resisted here, so they're not going to be doing too much chip damage. But it looks like 2 crunches will just about KO, and I'm going to kind of banking on my opponent not knowing the counts here. But they actually do no shield the power-up punch, but they're actually still forced to throw because Fury Cutter is just not doing enough damage here, and these Mud Slaps are actually adding up with them being boosted. And then it's a Dunsparce in the back, so we have a pretty solid answer here in Ferrothorn. I should have thrown the move as soon as I got to it, because then they wouldn't have gotten basically a free turn there. But we do get to the Power Whip. Right before they make it to the next drill run, my opponent does have 2 shields here, so even though I can comfortably no shield 2 of these drill runs, it's still going to take probably 2 Power Whips to KO my opponent, and I really have to make sure that they do not get a catch here, because a Power Whip catch would be pretty devastating. And at this point, I do have to shield this up, and then they probably have a move loaded, so I wouldn't be surprised if I instant swap in a Talonflame, and I do, and they hold on to their energy, which is actually a pretty nice play. But we didn't catch the Superpower or the Leaf Blade. Everything is resisted here. And we actually make it to back-to-back flies, which is massive because they do not have a move. They realize that there is no longer a win con for them, and they resign the match. So good read on my part there. But into the next match, we've got a Feraligatr on the lead, and it looks like they are core broken by the Kangaskhan. Obviously, Shadow Claw is double resisted on Kangaskhan, and then they come in with Clodsire. This is not a good matchup for them. We're going to probably just let the Earthquake through. One will not KO, and they actually just go straight Sludge Bomb. So understanding that it's going to take 2 moves to KO, and it looks like they are going to get another move off here. I do want to flip switch if I can, so I'm going to flip switch here, and they are going to throw right before I get to the power up punch. That does mean they should be basically energy dry at this point, and so now we can align our Ferrothorn here. And I am going to shield an Ice Beam, so I'm going to go down 2 shields in this matchup, understanding that there's probably no chance they're going to bait there, just because I'm already shields down. And they do have a Drapion in the back. I do have to undertap the fly, or else they're going to make it to another Aqua Tail before I can even grab a shield. So I do undertap the fly, and they throw pretty much right away, which is also pretty massive, because they could have farmed up a little bit more. And now I'm going for the Thunder. This is neutral versus the Power Whip, which is resisted, and then it gets the KO, so that is massive. And now I'm able to make it to a Power Whip. They have to get to an Ice Beam plus a Hydro here, I think, or will 1 Ice Beam be enough to take out from this range? It's going to be close. I think 1 Ice Beam is neutral here from a Shadow. Feraligatr just about doesn't KO. Oh, and 1 turn of difference flips that matchup. Maybe a slightly better Ferrothorn, better IV Ferrothorn wins that. But into the next match, pick up a great lead, and then they switch into a Azumarill, and we have a beautiful answer here in Ferrothorn. Obviously, Ice Beam is neutral, but it's going to take more than 2 of those to KO. So we're just going to farm up to 100 energy, get off this Power Whip. Power Whip does do slightly more damage than the Thunder. And I'm actually going for a Power Whip, denying their energy, and then going for the Undercharge, but the Undercharge actually still KOs. So now I'm like, have no energy, and I do not want them to get farmed down. So I actually come in right away with my Kangaskhan, which is actually a really good play because obviously we still have the Talonflame on the lead, which has a great matchup into their Sandslash. So at this point, there's basically no winning this for my opponent. I can take this Bone Club, get to the crunch. No, not even going to get to the crunch. Just going to come in Ferrothorn probably and sacrifice. Yeah, it's probably exactly what I'm going to do. Force them to throw their energy. Going to get to a Thunder here. Just not throwing a move, forcing them to throw. They get off the Ice Punch that does KO, but at this point, it's 2 shields versus 2 shields. I don't even need to shield 1 Ice Punch here, so I'm going to go for the 2 shield flex here. And we're going to get the full farm down, and my opponent gets to another move. They're throwing for some reason, even though I have 2 shields. So we do just shield that up, and that Incinerate will go through, and we will take that win. Toxapex on the lead. So this is obviously a okay lead because we have 2 better answers in the back, and they come in with Dawn Fans. That's pretty interesting. Coming in with their own Spicy Mud Slapper, and then they shield the first move, and I'm going to shield back because I did get the debuff. And I think I will be able to outpace as long as they don't body slam. And they actually they full send the Trailblaze. And then I'm expecting that they're going to go for the double shield farm down here. So that's why I power up punched. And that actually allows me to flip switch, which is huge. And then I come out with a crunch loaded. So flipping switch, getting the defense drop as well, which is also pretty massive. And at this point, I don't know what my opponent has in the back, but I'm assuming it's probably weak to the Talonflame because they're staying in against the Ferrothorn to throw a single resisted Sludge Wave. So we're going to get off this Thunder. This is just about KOs. Oh, and they're ABA weak to Ferrothorn. So it's actually a good thing we didn't like just instantly swap into our Talonflame there, because that would have been bad. And then when I go for the Drill Run catch, I'm unsuccessful. They do get off the Rock Slide, and that actually allows them to get a nice little farm down. And they come out with a move, and they deny my Bullet Seed worth of energy. So that's pretty unfortunate here, but I just have to get to one more move. It looks like that was a CMP tie. It shouldn't have been, because I should have been at the move one turn earlier. But we are able to just get the Bullet Seed farm down on the Toxapex, and we're able to take that win. Into the next match, we've got a Talonflame on the lead. I mean, a Annihilape on the lead. So this is obviously a good matchup for us. The only problem here is Rage Fist, even though it's only neutral, and that these counters will start to add up afterwards, even though they are single resisted on the Talonflame. But this will let me get to a fly plus another fly, so I will actually shield this up, because if I'm going to go down, I'm at least going to grab both shields with me. And they actually make a really nice catch on a Dugong, but I have a pretty solid answer in Ferrothorn in the back, because we have super effective coverage, and everything they have is just neutral. So I'm probably just going to let this go. Farm up to maybe right before they get to their second Icy Wind, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. Get off this Power Whip. That actually grabs the KO from that range. Then they come back in with Annihilape. I really need them to let this go, and they don't, which is unfortunate. Can I get to another move is the question. I can, but they realize that, and so they actually throw a Rage Fist here. I kind of have to come in Kangaskhan, just get the energy lead, take those boosted counters, and then what is in the back? It is a Wigglytuff, unfortunately. So don't think there's really a win con anymore in this matchup. Probably going for the Crunch. I think that was on the CMP tie as well. Boosted Crunch, even from that range, does not KO. I have to use my shield somewhere, so I may as well use it here to get off that boosted Mud Slap. And then his Charm versus Incinerate, they were just barely out of Incinerate range, and my opponent takes a win with the Wiggly there. Sandslash on the lead. This is obviously a great matchup. They actually throw 2 Powder Snows before dipping, which is kind of crazy. And then they come in Quagsire. Obviously, if we're running Talonflame, we're going to have an answer to a Mudboy in the back. They should just have only resisted moves here if they're running the standard move set of Aqua Tail and Stone Edge. I'm going for a Power Up here and then a full Undercharge, and that actually still KOs. Holy shit. Anyways, yeah, so they do come in right away with their Sandslash. They do have a decent amount of energy here, but this might not KO. Yeah, and it doesn't, and that still lets me get to a Thunder. So this will do some decent chip. And then at this point, I wouldn't be surprised if I just come in with the Kangaskhan in case they make it to a move. And they do. They shouldn't be able to throw one and the move there, because the Mud Slap should KO. And because they are able to grab that shield, we're actually looking at a pretty difficult matchup here in the back, because Azu is tough for our lead and our safe swap here. Everything is resisted. And we are just going to go for the Crunch spam. Fortunately, we do grab a shield on the first, my opponent just not really knowing the moveset. I think our only chance here is getting either an Ice Beam or a Play Rough catch onto the Talonflame. We don't quite get it, but any one move won't KO here. So we are able to get to a fly, and then we'll actually make it to another fly if they do not throw or if we outpace. So that should just about give us the win. The question is, if they survive this, can they also then bubble down and come out with a move loaded? And they do survive, but they aren't able to get the bubble down, and we are able to take that win. So a little bit of a core breaker and a Azumarill there when the Ferrothorn is gone, but still able to take that win. So into the last match, we've got a Primeape on the lead, and they come in with Clodsire. So I'm just going to get off a little bit of chip with the fly, and then probably come in Kangaskhan. I think that was just an adaptation, realizing that in the zeros they were able to grab a shield out of me. Unfortunately, it looks like they were going to outpace me there, so I do just throw the Power Up Punch, and obviously they're going to no shield that because I was going to outpace. So still not sure what the best play pattern there is, but we are able to get the full farm down, and then they're going to come back in with that Primeape. Fortunately, the Primeape is not seeing our backline, and we grab a shield on a resisted crunch. That's absolutely massive. They could throw a Rage Fist here or a close combat, but they actually let a full Incinerate through. It's pretty unfortunate for my opponent. I will shield this up. I'm assuming whatever is in back does not want to see the Talonflame, and it is a Drapion. So unfortunately, I'm not going to get to a second move before they get to their next move. Or no, I already have the fly loaded, which is massive because I go Flame Charge, grab the shield, get the fly off, and then at this point I can just come in with Ferrothorn to soak up the energy, and we're able to take that win. So yeah, that's Kangaskhan. I mean, you saw, I think, what was it, 2 losses in this video, but this team was honestly super solid. Like I said at the beginning of the video, this was a little bit earlier on. But one of the benefits of Kangaskhan is people don't know the moveset. You saw several times Pokemon like Azumarill shielding, which is completely unnecessary against Kangaskhan. I don't know why you would shield anyways after like 5 mud slaps on any Pokemon, because even if it's a Trailblaze, you're going to want to shield the second. So I'm not really sure what's going on. But yeah, I mean, it just kind of rounds the core of Talonflame and Ferrothorn together really well. One thing I will say is that with Corviknight coming into the meta, this team could still work because it's an ABB style line. So if you baited it out with Kangaskhan, then Ferrothorn doesn't have to see it, and then Talonflame punishes. So it still could work. But I think a team you're going to see more commonly is Talonflame, Ferrothorn, and Morpeko, because Morpeko and Talonflame both have good play, solid play into the new Corviknight, and then Ferrothorn just kind of as the third in that core is pretty strong, and it has that really good core breaking potential with Power Whip and Thunder. So yeah, thank you all very much for watching. I've got plenty more videos coming at you this week. So look forward to that, and until next time, peace.